So good morning and welcome everybody. It's an absolute privilege to host you all here today. Now they say that if you want to be the best, you learn from the best. And today, bringing you here down into our area, we're going to introduce you to Mark and Felicity Brough, and they're some of the best in the King Country at what they're doing. And when you talk about trying to balance a business objective against an environmental objective and getting really positive outcomes, that's exactly what they're doing down here in the King Country, and they're doing something really quite special. So huge opportunity for us to learn from some people who are doing something really amazing. To welcome them on behalf of the Waikato and congratulating them as winners of the Supreme Award, I'd like you to put your hands together for Mark and Felicity.
I've always had an interest in biodiversity. This comes from a young age, following my father, who only seemed to have one speed, which was flat out through the native bush chasing wild boar and stags. I remember my father cutting scrub on his farm with a slasher and then a chainsaw when they were invented, coming home with lizards in his pockets. To an 8-year-old, these are amazing creatures. How many children get to experience these things these days? Biodiversity is important to us as farmers. We feel we need to know what is on our farm and do everything we can to protect and enhance it.
Mark and Felicity Brough, Paerua.
When you started working in this wetland, we're looking at this wetland down here. Where did you start? What did you do? How did you do it?
Well, we took advice from Adrian Jepson for Waikato Regional Council, and he said start where you can see it. So every day you drive past it and you think, shit, that looks nice, and rather than starting at the back of the farm and just a few pig owners will see it, you better to do it where you can see it and really enjoy it. Yeah, so we did start a couple of smaller blocks in the middle of the farm, but then we thought, we want to enjoy the bird life and the biodiversity in the water and things like that.
Also, if you're driving past it and you can see it, you can see the blackberry growing. So you can catch that quickly, so that's another advantage. Oh, that's the other advantage of having it. So you can enjoy the bird life and that sort of thing, but you can also monitor what's going on, and that's important as well.
Wetland like this is ideal to start on because it's manageable, it's a complete unit, you can whack a fence around it, you can put your plants in, get encouraged by your successes, and then track on further places on your farm and get those underway. As far as species selection goes, just grab a handful. Don't get 30 or 40 different species and make a pig of yourself, because you're just going to give yourself a headache.
And very important point is they don't allow anything to grow underneath. So land becomes bare, and once land becomes bare, all problems start there.
Have you had to put up extra fences to protect areas you've planted?
So much easier. I spent quite a bit of time off farm, so Felicity's always shifting the brakes. Oh, we did all the work. We started getting funding from Regional Council at 30%. If you get funding at 50%, you do all the work yourself. It doesn't cost you anything. So, funding is very important, and it's a hell of a bonus, makes a big difference to your bottom line. But, it's something we really enjoy.
Step number 2, we're going to just park it for a little bit on the actual farm stuff. I'm going to go a little bit broader and we're going to talk about what's happening in the wider catchment. And so we've invited Anna Nelson here from King Country River Care. Now, there appears to be a truckload of funding floating around in the catchments at the moment. And you've snagged a whole heap of it, I understand. And so I'm really interested in how you've managed to snag so much funding and what are you going to do with it. But welcome Anna Nelson, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Matt. My dad says our noses are in the trough and he says behave yourselves. But kia ora, good morning or afternoon now. Welcome everyone to the King Country. This is our little part of the world and we're pretty proud of it. It's great to have so many people here. Congratulations, Mark and Felicity. Bloody good job. King Country farmers doing it and showing the way. So yeah, we're really proud of them. I get up in the morning and I do this job because I guess we farm 9 kilometres of Moko riverfront. That's our boundary, and we've been, John and Kay started it. They've been doing 50 years of work quietly on that farm, working away at it, and we've carried it on. And we could do whatever we like, but we actually won't change what the river looks like when it gets to the sea or the estuary. The Moko River will still look the same no matter what we do. However, if we all get together as farmers in this catchment, we can make a real difference. And it's just taking little steps, doesn't have to be big. So that's I guess reason number 1. And number 2 is my kids, and actually it's your kids and all of our grandkids. So, I think living, farming rurally, our rural communities, it's been magic. I'm so lucky, but I don't think that the opportunity for them definitely to get to live and to farm, to make a living on the rural country is a given. I don't think it's a definite in front of them. So I'm really motivated to help us all make a little change and start to think about what the future generations, what we need to do to give them a chance to make a real go of it.
To make a difference, we all got to do it together. One person can't do it on their own.
Yeah, it's we believe in the concept. We think it's good for the community as well as good for individual farmers, and I really just want to see everybody going along together to make a difference for the environment. I'm really with Anna about that thing about making a better environment for our children and future generations, and I think that the catchment groups are an excellent springboard for that. I think it's one of the most effective ways we've got of tackling that issue.
I think the thing is too that consumers demand what we're trying to achieve, and that's a big thing. If we hope to sell our product in 20, 25 years, whatever, or even now, they demand that it comes from a sustainable farm and that we're looking after the soil, waterways and our stock. So this stream here is a Piki Atua stream, and it is Wahu Tapu, and we respect that. There was a PAR site on the neighbouring property, and years ago there was a huge battle there. A lot of people were killed, and so we respect that the blood flowed into the water and is Wahu Tapu, so we don't allow any commercial eeling or anybody to take anything out of the water. And I think that's important that we all know what's going on in our farms as far as who was here before us and how we respect what they did and things like that. So, yep.
All right, quick background. A little bit similar to Mark's actually. I grew up with my father hunting and fishing, and it's where I got interested in ecology and biodiversity. It was actually back in Australia early days, so I actually had snakes as pets, not lizards in my pockets, which is kind of fortunate to have those here. And I moved to New Zealand about 23 years ago, I think it was now, and to the South Island, and in intervening years worked for Department of Conservation and Regional Council now for about 11 years. And I was thinking a lot about what I should say today, and I'm honoured that Mark gave me the opportunity to talk here today. And the one thing, I don't want to tell you guys how to farm, but the one thing I want to say is to always question things. Don't believe everything you're told. Embrace biodiversity. Look around you. Observe. You will know your farm better than anybody else. But take the time to experiment. But try to do it at a small scale in a way, and I know that everybody's busy, that might enable you to discover some things that might enable you to do your process better. And it doesn't matter whether it's brewing beer, brewing wine, undertaking my job or anybody's job, you're always seeking to improve, and that is about questioning and asking questions and trying to resolve those questions. And if you ask the right question and you undertake the right test, you can uncover some really amazing things. And you will never ever learn everything there is about ecology. And I've made my life out of trying to study fresh water. People make their life out of studying biology and soil. As farmers, you're trying to incorporate all of those disciplines together. And so do some research. You know, if you have the time to do some reading and test some things out, do that, because it's very encouraging and motivating when you might have a theory about something that comes true, and even if it fails, you still learn from those things. So, you know, as Mark was saying before, a lot of the things he's done on farm, he would do that differently. As long as you're monitoring those things properly, you will be able to make those decisions well. I'm going to put a little bit of a plug here for some citizen science stuff. This is really new cutting edge stuff. This little kit here, this little syringe, is what's called an environmental DNA kit. And the technology on this has gone so crazy so quickly that it enables really science-based applications to be used by just general citizens to literally suck up water out of the stream here, about 500 mils, onto a filter, and you send that into a lab. It's the same lab that actually does COVID-19 at the moment, so there's a little bit of a wait time on the results, about 3 or 4 weeks. And it'll tell you everything that's in your creek for about, general sense, 5 or 10 kilometres from the point there upstream. And I'm not just talking fish. So, for instance, let's say that you get involved in a stream care group, right? You're in a catchment group where you're undertaking some planting. If you take a sample before you do any of your work, you'll get an identification on here of all the things that are generally around your area. It'll pick up birds. So if you have, for example, flaxes, and you've got seed heads that come up and the tuis start landing because they're coming from a neighbouring bush and they never came before because you never had flaxes, you will start to detect their DNA, because when they defecate in the water, as with fish, imagine a stream as literally a conveyor belt of environmental DNA. It's like forensic science in some ways, but okay, the cost, you know, for a single species it's $45, but for the full suite of animals it's $140. Now, if you did that every 3 or 4 years, right, at the beginning of your project, at the end, it gives you an idea of how much benefit you've gained from doing those things in terms of the biodiversity, the biology that's appearing in the stream. So I just thought I'd mention that because it's pretty cutting edge stuff and it's very accessible, and it's being used by citizens all over the country at the moment. The information gets uploaded onto a database, so if you want to look at other neighbouring catchments or other parts of the country, it actually tells you all the deer are too. This little beastie here, which you can all come and have a little look at later on, this little fish here is called an Upland Bully. Doesn't look like much, but is a very, very interesting fish in that where we are right here is pretty much the northern extent of its range. And in lakes that have high densities of these, you know, you might get 300 or 400, you know, per like square metre. The water's crystal clear. They can actually turn over an entire lake in the space of a day or less.
When we entered this, we had no idea that we would one day be standing here in front of a heap of people. We just thought, let's get judged by some other people who can give us some ideas of what we're doing right and wrong. And so we carry on in the right direction. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, thanks everyone for coming and sharing. And I'd really like to thank our 3 speakers. It's been great. I've learnt things from them. And just everyone go out there, enjoy the environment they live in, go plant, and thank you very much, Matt. Thanks.